delighted to be here with Rona Ben-Izraël, one of New York's leading cake designers. Ron, wedding cakes today are truly works of art, as yours certainly are. And I would love for you to talk about some of the trends in wedding cakes and show us some of your creations.
Well, let's start with the cake over here. We have our light yellow as a base, and then we have a singular flower, which is a very strong concept we developed. The only flower here represented is the hydrangeas.
Hydrangea, it's beautiful.
So it could be late summer, that's where the hydrangeas in nature tend to light blue. And because we have made such a severe design decision, then we have all the different textures in one cake.
I love that. It almost looks like ribbon. Beautiful ribbon.
That's the idea. It's idea. Ribbons are always, don't you think, very romantic?
Very
and it's
romantic,
always about
beautiful.
no beginning and no end. The cake has no front and no back, and it's about, shall we say, tying the knot. Then we can zoom into the details, like a sugar butterfly or a leaf.
Right. And all of this is edible.
But of course.
Every bit. Now this is another exquisite masterpiece.
It's so glamorous.
Yes.
And it's so unusual, but you can see here it's the same idea of deciding a concept as opposed to, you know, when we looked at the 80s together and we saw everything was on the cake.
Right,
and now
right.
we're deciding, we're making conscious choices. The color scheme here is also very bright, only yellows and greens with touches of black. And then those graphic designs are very much Rococo, or you can see them on balconies and balustrades in Europe. There's some Art Deco elements as well.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. And this sharpness and very chic look can accent any color. You can make a great impact without having too big of a cake, because all eyes are zooming towards that.
Very striking.
I want to show you that we have those little orchids, which are called cherry babies.
Beautiful.
They're just very sweet, and we have nice little vernaculars hiding here. There's all kind of little things to discover.
Right, right. And when you work with a bride and groom and talking about the wedding cake, you often do a sketch for them.
If necessary, right. When you choose something like that has never been done before, we actually make many sketches to arrive in the final decision.
It's wonderful. Beautiful. I love this cake as well. What was your inspiration for the silver?
Well, we wanted to go back to Rococo, that famous swirl that we see again. We see it in stationery these days. It's all coming back. We see it in wallpaper, even in dress designs, in beading. A few years ago, we were very big into lace on dresses, which is still, of course, it's eternal. But we were presenting the lace on the cake. Then we started bringing the beading on the cake in a confectionery form. But that Rococo, the famous swirl and damask.
Very detailed.
And it's very challenging to produce because all those confectionery elements are so time consuming. So we would have 7 people work on one cake. The cake has to be completed 24 hours before the wedding, otherwise it will not be fresh. So we all sit together and work on the cake at the same time and apply all those little details. You can see the bling and the shimmer.
Oh my God, it's amazing. And this is really quite grand and beautiful, and I love you have 5 layers and each layer is a different shape.
A different shape, right. Obviously this cake is much larger than the other cakes we did for a larger wedding, and it is the classical bridal white, however the details in black just make it so
really
chic.
Beautiful. Really
and you see a lot of bling. You also see the singular flower. We chose just to do the pink peachy peony. So again, you have sort of very grand cake, but then you
Right.
hold back and you only choose certain things. And the sugar flowers, which are three-dimensional, are also represented as an applique.
Beautiful. And how many guests with cake this
Oh, this
size?
cake will be at least for 250 guests.
250 guests.
We always designate the top tier for the first anniversary, and we provide a special box to take it
Oh,
home.
that's so nice.
And we hope that people will save it for a year
Oh, I'm
frozen.
sure they will, because another thing I wanted to ask you was about cake flavors. What are some of the flavors that are really popular now?
Well, the sky's the limit. Everything is possible. But the one thing I would say about flavors, don't be satisfied with only a single choice. We would like on the plate to have a whole selection. So a typical wedding cake of ours will have 3 to 5 different elements. There will be different cakes inside, layers of cream, because you see how tall the cake
Right.
layers. A typical cake will have 8 layers, 4 layers of cakes, 3 layers of filling, nuts and fruit and meringues and
Oh, so the sky's the limit. You can really have any
Absolutely.
flavor you want. That's wonderful.
And as you cut into the cake, you would want to discover all kind of surprises inside. We have
that
things
great?
like cookies and cream. Who would have thought in a wedding cake?
And I know chocolate peanut butter is the
Chocolate
one
peanut
of my
butter, your
favorites,
favorite,
right?
right? And a lot of exotic fruits: mango, passion fruit, blackberry, blood orange.
Sounds wonderful. One last question I wanted to ask you, Ron. The work on the flowers and all of the details, how far in advance would you and your team start working on that?
Well, that's actually an interesting question, because we get the bookings months in advance. Because when you look at the cake, of course it has to be very fresh, but the sugar flowers will take weeks and weeks. And I'm actually going to touch the flowers to show you how each petal is done separately, and they move just so.
Wow, that's
and you can also
incredible.
see the hand coloring.
Right.
So we would start on the sugar flowers weeks in advance, and each bride will have her own set of boxes just with the sugar flowers for her own cake. And then we would work together on the hardware, our custom-made boards. A lot of things in the cake can be made in advance, but the actual baking and assembling has to be fresh.
Has to be fresh, definitely.
Absolutely.
This has been really fun, and they're absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure these brides love their cakes.
And thank you for Bridal Guide.
Thank you.